All right. Okay. Uh, okay. Last Wednesday. Yeah, last Wednesday we were talking about some of the aspect of sloth and torpor and how we can able to overcome the sloth and torpor, such as from that one was from um, Chapala Sutta, I think. The 8 ways that how the Buddha gave the instruction to Mahamoggallana to overcome the drowsiness or the dullness and drowsiness, sloth and torpor, such as walking mindfully, stretching mindfully, pulling your earlobes mindfully, some of these things. So this one is given by the Buddha. So towards the end, a little bit, I was talking about the restlessness. But I think I think I better restart the whole thing again. It'll be easier. So today and Friday, no, Wednesday there's no Dhamma talk for me. So today and Friday we're going to talk about the restlessness and regret, uddhacca and kukucca. Now, as I said, in this restlessness, let me share the screen. Okay, what did I share? Wrong screen, sorry. Okay, can you see restlessness and regret? Okay, wait. Let me make it bigger. Okay, can you see? Okay. Now, in this restlessness and regret, uddhacca and kukucca, now in the Pali word, if you know a little bit of the Pali word, the literal meaning of it, it's already given us the sign that, restlessness, it's like shaking above or hovering or floating above. It's not like going down to the object. Whereas when we talk about the sloth and torpor, that time we say that the sloth and torpor, the mind is like very sinking down, very, very deep towards the abyss. So it's restlessness and regret. They are completely the opposite of sloth and torpor, dinamida. Because here, this restlessness and regret, they are wrong mental effort, or too much wrong mental effort, Whereas the dinamida is that you are lacking of or not enough of the right mental effort. So this one is the difference inside when we look into the 5 hindrances. So now restlessness, as I said, they have many names. In English, you have many names. Then the whole restlessness is like you call it distraction, agitation, flurry of the mind, scattered mind, overexcitement, wandering mind. And then he gives the image, a mental image like a monkey swinging from one branch to another. Or the Buddha gave the simile that like a wind, it creates ripples in the pond or in the water, and it keep on a lot of ripples and it keep going and going. So this is like the mind is not at peace, the mind is not quiet, the mind is very distracted, scattered, and so on. Regret here means, in the literal sense, means something like, it comes from the 2 words, ku and kicca. So when you put together, it's kukucca. Ku here always means bad. in Pali. And then Kicha means something like work that should be done or duty that should be done. Or that means that something bad that you have done in the past, some duty, some bad duty, some bad work that you have done in the past. So in that sense, it's a regret, it's a worry, it's a guilt. Now, this one, regret, worry, or guilt, they are also connected to unpleasant mental feelings. They are connected to and this is a cousin of ill will, actually, but it is put into this fourth hindrances, because these fourth hindrances, when we want to overcome, both of them use the same way. So this restlessness and regret, and this restlessness, uddhacca here, they can only be eradicated as arahant. When you're arahant, only you can eradicate this restlessness. Whereas regret, you eradicate them in the anagami, because it's connected to ill will. So ill will is removed, regret also is removed. So we use that. Sometimes they use it regret, worry, or guilt. Now, in order to understand this restlessness and regret now, it's good that for us, especially as a vipassana meditator, even, if you are not really a vipassana meditator, I think it's also good that to know what is restless mind, in order for us to see the nature of this mind. Because this restlessness is one of the big problem right now in the modern world, because of our mobile phones, our computer, our internet, our reading books, and so on. We keep on thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, and the mind is keep on scattering from one information to another. And as I said last week, a lot of us is that you may not crave many things outside there, but you crave for news, you crave for information, you crave for something to fill up the mind. Even though sometimes you go into a toilet also, you want to have a book in front of you or a phone in front of you. We just cannot sit still nowadays. The mind is so too active. And that is even more terrible when you look at those millennials and those who you're born with all these gadgets. You're born with all these gadgets. It's totally like the mind is totally so connected with those gadgets, and therefore it's one of the biggest problems that we have. In the sense of using all these mobile phones also, I find that my mind also get affected. Because if you were to play the mobile phones or looking at a computer, reading here and there, and now after that you want to go and meditate, the whole mind gets very distracted. So it is a modern world problem, but it's a defilement anyway. So as I said, nowadays we crave for all these things. Not only that, not only information we crave, we also, inside us, we want to create more thinking, we create more solution, we create more things to solve, or things to reason. And then we create a lot of rationalization again and again, and then we are not mindful of it. We are not mindful. We are so engrossed into all the concept and all the creation of the mind. And the mind hold on to it, crave for it so strongly. Again and again, the mind goes into a lot of thinking, overthinking. And when it goes into overthinking, then when it cannot stop, it becomes a mental issue. Like, for example, anxiety, you have chest pain, chest tightness, and head become very tight. All these things are coming in. Or perhaps maybe like insomnia, because you work and work and think over time, and then you got no time to sleep. You're so engrossed with all the news and all the YouTube and all the entertainment. And you see nowadays, kids also in the teenagers or 20s, so engrossed with all these things, cannot let it go. That when they becomes more as they age, then you can see that the mind is so distracted, cannot calm down. So it's therefore, as I said, this restlessness is one of the biggest problem, or usually the biggest problem actually, to think of it, especially for a new meditator. New meditator come in, one of the biggest thing, Bante, my mind is so noisy. How to calm the mind, Bante? How to calm the mind? How to start the meditate? Every day, they thought that having such a distracted mind, they cannot start meditation. Yeah, that is most of the time because that's their lifestyle. We keep on reading everything. We keep on wanting to know everything. Then the mind gets so restless. And we don't realize it. That's the problem. We don't realize it until you actually sit down and pay attention. Because to us, those things are so normal already nowadays. So that's why, first of all, one of the characteristics of this restlessness is disquietude, unsettledness, unstillness of the mind. So this restlessness, it makes the mind unsteady. So it comes out as turmoil or turbulence. As I said, you want to know this manifestation of restlessness at the meaning of turmoil or turbulence. You go and do all kinds of reading, play all your games in your computer, and then immediately you go for the sitting. Immediately you go for the sitting. Then you see how turmoil and how turbulence that mind is. That is called restlessness. And it is full blown. And a lot of times this type of mind, it makes a lot of yogis gets very disappointed about meditation. They don't want to see this restless mind. They want a calm, collected, peaceful state of mind. But in their everyday life, they are doing exactly the opposite. And then in the meditation, they want calm. And then in the world again, they want so much of all kinds of thinking, all kinds of rationalizing, all kinds of news, all kinds of everything. And then the mind is not quiet at all. So noisy, so unsettled. So how? So you see, the restless mind I think is one of the biggest problem. In order to, as I said, this restless mind, and sometimes for some people it may take about 5 days just to settle the mind. When you are in the retreat, just in the retreat, first few days you come in, you are so sleepy. You're so sleepy, you may not have much time to think a lot because the body is so tired, But once you're able to recover from the sleepiness, then that is where the restlessness is waiting for you. Because your mind is alert already, but your concentration has not come up. Your mindfulness hasn't come up that strong yet. That is where your mind will start scattering here and there because your body is not so tired anymore. So the mind is so active. So some people, it takes about 5 days, and the terrible type of cases, it take about 1 week in order just to settle the mind. And some, every once in a while, there are yogis who constantly, and they settle the mind for a while, then the whole restless mind blow out again throughout their whole retreat. Actually, if it's a 1 month retreat, 2 months retreat, they are also in that state. because of these hindrances is very strong. That means in their everyday life, they don't realize that how much this restless mind is going through, and maybe also connected to the karma too, but that one we cannot be sure. But what I'm sure is that in this life, that means we are not really mindful in our everyday everyday mental state. Yeah. And a lot of times nowadays, I also notice that the world of the people is not out there. You don't see the world. The whole world is in front of your computer. Facebook will give you the news, and you're not out there. Nowadays, our life also is like that. So when we keep on going through all these things, the restless mind become very strong. So don't blame yourself. Next time, all you need to do is just to change the lifestyle a little bit in the more wider sense. Maybe when it comes into overcoming, we'll talk about that too. So this restlessness is one of I would say one of the biggest problem that yogis encounter. Mostly that I've seen. The next one, the regret. Now, regret here, I don't see the yogis have that much. Once in a while. It's not that they don't have, they're once in a while. You see that sometimes there are certain yogis have a very strong thoughts, and they occur again and again and again. Here, restlessness and regret is that this restlessness is like a very scattered. It just jump around here and there, and he is just like sometimes they're really, really nonsense on it. You do not know what they are thinking about. So, but regret one is kind of like a very specific topic, specific theme, that the things that you have done or you have not done. That means it's like the story, your mental story, your mental thinking is going over and over again and again on the same thing. When it happens, then you feel that there's a regret there, a subsequent regret. That means regret in the present moment. There's a regret in the present moment at right now. That means you are sorrowful over what has been done or what has not been done. Here, sorrowful what has been done and what has not been done, for example, is that perhaps when you do not know the Dhamma at that time, you create a lot of unwholesome karma. Maybe you kill here and there, you kill chicken, you kill cockroach, you kill without any compassion. Or you lie without any thought of sense of hiri and ottappa, or without a sense of moral shame and moral fear. There's nothing. So that time you thought that the more that you can able to cheat others or to lie others to get your business better, the more happy you are. But when you learn about Buddhism, after maybe 5, 10 years, 20 years later, you learn about Buddhism, and then you recall back to your past things that you have done. Then that time sorrow comes in. Just because that you are Buddhist doesn't mean that you are free from all these things. Regret. Your mind still go back to it, and then when those things that you have done something wrong, and then it occurs all over. It repeat all over again. And sometimes when it repeats, especially when it happens again, when you are like meditating that time, when this regret comes up, it just looks like yesterday. It can be like 20 years ago, but during in the meditation, just like all your objects become clear to you, your regret also become very clear to you. Your regret also, because the image of the thought right now, the clarity of the image of the thought also become very clear. And in the beginning, usually the yogis have a hard time controlling themselves. Yeah? And sometimes the anger arises so strongly. Or sometimes the sadness comes in. Sometimes you things that what have not been done or what has should been done or is not supposed to be done. That for example, like you're supposed to you apologize to somebody and then you didn't, and then the person passed away, and then you regret your words that come out. Yeah. The thing has been done and you're supposed to apologize, but you didn't do. The person passed away, and then you're sorrowful. You become very sorry. You become very remorse. You become very sad in that sense. So this time, in the beginning, the yogis will have a hard time when you face with this regret. All of us, one time or another, will have to go through this state of regret. But it is the nature of vipassana. The nature of vipassana is that this restlessness and regret is that you have to see them through. Because you see them through, later part, this restlessness and regret will still be there. Not to say that they are not going to be there, but you can change your mental attitude. You can change your emotion towards the restlessness and regret. Otherwise, those, let's say, those regretful thoughts that come to you again and again. For some people, this type of thoughts are so strong, so strong until every time they think about it, they cry, and they are not free from it now. But if they know how to develop vipassana, you develop vipassana, you gain some mindfulness. When you gain some mindfulness, when this regret comes in, over time, when you deal with this regret, next time, not to say that you forget about all the incidents of the past, but the incidents does not create any sorrowful thoughts to you. That doesn't create remorse or sadness to you anymore. That means you're free from regret, but you're not free from the thinking. The thinking is already created in the past, or it happened in the present. Create in the present, of course, but things that happened in the past. So those memory, you cannot run away. But you can change your emotion. You change your attitude from unwholesome becomes mentally wholesome. That is what vipassana can give you. But a lot of people is that they want to suppress these thoughts rather than changing the emotion. Because, as I said, I think some talks ago, if sometimes these hindrances, if you catch them wrongly, it's like a snake that you catch it on the head, it will bite you. Oh, sorry. If you catch it wrongly, if you do not know how to catch a snake, most people, you see people catch the snake on the neck so that they cannot able to turn and bite you. But if you catch on the tail, if you're not careful, you can swing back and come back and bite you if you do not know how to catch them. So to hindrances, also the same thing. Here, all the while when we are talking about the hindrances, we do not suppress this type of thoughts. We acknowledge them. We see them as they are. We accept them as they are. Then after that, we overcome them also. We just don't let them stay. Doesn't mean we welcome them. Doesn't mean that we push them away, but just see them as, accept them as they are, and then we overcome them. So regret here is what has been done, has not been done. So with the Dhamma, when the Dhamma comes in, over time, when you begin to learn about the Dhamma, this is, you know what's supposed to do, you know what you're not supposed to do. Then subsequent regret in the future become less or not much or very little. At least you live a life happier. So this restlessness can be a very big topic. It's a big topic. Restlessness, as I said, if this restlessness cannot stop, as I said, can go into mental problem, and regret also the same thing, mental problem, both of it also. So this can be, you got to be very careful. Okay, let's see what else. Yes. Another type of regret, another type of restlessness, but this one is regard to the Dhamma. In regards to the Dhamma, Dhamma Udacha or Dhamnudacha. Here regards to the Dhamma or Dhamma cultivation. Dhamma cultivation, it means that it may regards to the morality, or it may regards to your mental development, these type of things. So, for example, those morality, they are restless. Whether, see did I break the precept? I have not break the precept. Did I break or not? I have not break the precept. How Bante? How like that? The whole heart becomes so kanjiong, very, very unsettled, in that sense. But this regard to something wholesome, but it's still a restlessness also. But but it's still better than, better than all kinds of wrong things you do out there. All kinds of worldly things. But this one regards to Dhamma, because this type of restlessness, once it's settled down, it helps the person to go further a little bit more. Another type of this restlessness, like you can see that, especially for the yogis, this is especially they meditate. Bante, so long already I meditate. How come my meditation not go anywhere? Neither here nor there. Bante, how? Like that, that is called Dhamma Udacha. You are restless. Bante, how come I meditate so long? I'm seeing the same pattern of the rising, falling. I'm seeing the same pattern of the movement. I'm seeing the same pattern. It repeat again and again and again and again. Why, Bante? How come so long I have to see those things? I see other people, maybe they are already Arahant already. I'm here struggling. Restless all these things, Dhamma, restlessness of the mind. Every now and then, this is where when a yogi is very, making a lot of effort, and you know that they are making effort, you know that they are struggling, you know that they are really sincere about their practice. But in the meantime, while they are meditating, sometimes there's a fluctuation. They push themselves too hard, or they overestimate themselves, or sometimes they put their bar too high. They want to achieve things a bit faster, but the development is not going that as they would like. Then it creates all this type of restlessness in the meditation. So all they need to do is to settle down that restlessness. Once that restlessness is settled down, then things become clear again. Sometimes this restlessness, Dhamma Udacha, also will come in as the fifth hindrance, as a doubt, and it comes in, Bante, am I practicing correctly? Am I not practicing correctly? Should I go for samatha or not? Should I not do this? Should I do that? Then the mind is like struggling in the doubt, and then it shakes the faith a little bit. Then that time it's good that to have teachers, to have good teachers to help you to settle the problem of the heart. You see this, especially in vipassana, the development is quite straightforward. how to sit, how to walk, how to be mindful of all your daily activities. That one quite straightforward. You can do it quite. I mean, if you read a book, a Vipassana book, and if you dive there quite detailed, you can actually understand what is going on. But when it comes to hindrances, that is where you need somebody to help you to undo a lot of things. Because a lot of times, this hindrance, they can disguise as intelligent, and they can disguise as something that you think that you are doing right on. Especially, for example, like craving, attachment, sensual desire. You feel good, and all this craving coming in, you don't realize that it is all there. So you need, especially when it comes into removing, help you to overcome the hindrances. That time you need a teacher. You really need a teacher. If not, you cannot see this hindrance very clearly. So that's why when we practice, when a yogi comes to me, usually they know how to meditate. They've been in and out retreat. We know, they know how to walk, how to sit. But once in a while, their hindrances starts popping up. That time, they have a hard time. They have a friction in the practice. This is where my job comes in to help them to ease all these hindrances and so on. So the more that you understand these hindrances, how to overcome them and how to deal with them, and over time, your experience becomes better. That means when you deal with the hindrances, you don't have to deal with, like, in the beginning, maybe you deal with it like half an hour or 1 hour. You have to only deal with that particular hindrance. So it's difficult. But over time, when your skills in understanding how to overcome the hindrances, it becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. And sometimes it becomes in like 1 or 2 seconds or few seconds only before you already detected it, that is coming in. And then you already settled the whole hindrance, the issue of all these hindrances already. That means it doesn't disturb the meditation, and it doesn't shaken your faith and your confidence on the meditation and your development also. That would be very good. That's why a lot of times I also pay a lot of attention to these hindrances. So you have this Dhamma Udacha. Well, it's still good, but you need to still settle the mind. You still need to settle the mind. I think also this Anuruddha, Venerable Anuruddha, yes. Venerable Anuruddha, he also got this psychic power of, divine eye, sorry. He can able to see this divine eye, and is very good in all kinds of, he's foremost in Satipatthana, and he's also foremost in the divine eye. And then he says that why I still cannot able to gain arahantship, why I'm still anagami, that is because of Dhamma, Dhamma Udacha, because of Dhamma Udacha. Okay, so now, where are we now? Okay. So the Buddha says, I do not see even one other thing on account of which unarisen restlessness and remorse arise, and arisen restlessness and remorse increase and expand so much as an unsettled mind. For one who has an unsettled mind, increase and expand. Here, it is said that the unsettled mind is not settled by jhana and insight. All right. The next one is the opposite. It's completely the opposite. I do not see even one other thing on account of which unarisen restlessness and remorse do not arise, and arisen restlessness and remorse are abandoned, so much as pacification of the mind. For one with a pacified mind, unarisen restlessness and remorse do not arise, and arisen restlessness and remorse are abandoned. All right. Now, this one is also important. The commentary says that it's settled, the unsettled because there's no jhana, as there's no insight. Insight here means insight knowledge. There's no insight or there's no jhana, which is true. Which is true. But nowadays, people tend to water down all these things. Water down in the sense that they thought that having a calm mind is just like going into the forest, sit there, look at the birds, go to a place which is calm and beautiful and so on, and then you look all around. Because that time you are free from all your work, free from all the things that you don't like. You just settle there. You thought that is a settled mind. Actually, this is not a settled mind, but at least for some people it can be good because sometimes they are overstressed. And they are overstressed and overworked, and they need this type of away from things. And of course, right now you cannot go away anywhere, especially like in Malaysia, we all locked down. Only you can see this wall, this table, that table. You go to your dining hall, you go to your room, you go to the toilet, there's no much where you can go. Maybe some of you are still working, but a lot of people are at home. So here right now is that people thought that all this type of going away, that you said settle the mind, actually is not really. So you need to settle the mind, as the commentary puts it, as you need some degree of jhana or near to jhana, and also you need some degree of insight, including enlightenment also. So this is what it meant here. So therefore, we will try to overcome this hindrance. Okay. Now again, it's the same way. Again, this is the same thing that we have talked about it again and again. Proper ways of overcoming a hindrance: mindfulness, recognition, acceptance, and finally overcoming. This is always the same way when we want to overcome a hindrance. Again, let me repeat. Mindfulness here is not a strong mindfulness. This is a very weak mindfulness. But you're already aware that it's already there. Because if you don't aware, as I said, all these hindrances, if you do not aware, you cannot overcome them. And so you need to have that mindfulness, a slight mindfulness, or while the hindrances is going on, that you can able to squeeze in the mindfulness a little bit. Then you can able to recognize that, restlessness is already there. Or that little mindfulness, or even that strong mindfulness that you have, that it wants to come up, you already know that it's going to come up. That is going to come up. That is another area of the awareness is taking place. Later part, I think in the next other talks, we're going to talk about mindfulness in the sense of what is a faculty and what is a power. And they are not the same. Some people thought that one is stronger than the other one. They thought that the power is stronger than the faculties. Actually, it's not. They are two different way of how the mind is functioning. That one we're going to talk about it in I think maybe in the next chapter. Maybe we're going to talk about faculties. About faculties. But just to give you an understanding that Sometimes, for example, when you're meditating, and you know that the thinking is going to come up. You know that it's like in the back of the mind or inside the heart that the thought is like it's like a volcano. It's going up already. It's stirring up. It's stirring there. It is shaking there already. Then that mindfulness is already aware of it. When mindfulness is aware of that, then that hindrance does not comes in, right? Because there's awareness of what is going on. That type of awareness, that type of mindfulness is called the power of mindfulness. Sati bala is a power of mindfulness because here it prevents this one from arising. Okay? But when mindfulness as a faculty, mindfulness here, it keeps the mind in the present moment. And it keeps the mind alert and clear. Kind of like heightened awareness like that. That is the nature of a faculty. And the power here is that it prevents the hindrances from coming in so that you don't become like totally lost in thoughts, Because when you're lost in thoughts and you totally have zero mindfulness, you're already inside the story. But when the moment you can able to stop that mind from entering into the thoughts, or prevent the mind from, prevent the restlessness from coming up, that belongs to the power. It's just a different name, but people thought that the word power is more stronger than faculty, which is actually is not. You can see that in your practice. You can see that in the practice, but all depending on how people express themselves, and they talk about it. But anyway, this is how I understand, because it happens in the practice. Anyway, we're going to talk about that one. And we're going to talk about that one on when it comes to the faculties. We're going to talk about power and faculties together in the next episode. Not next talk, next episode. And falls under the Noble Eightfold Path also. So this, as I said, this mindfulness right now is usually in the beginning part of it. When you want to deal with this restlessness, is that you kind of like your mindfulness is so weak that firstly you're already inside the thought. You're already inside going into the story again and again and again and again, and you are eventually you are like, you're not like watching a movie. You are in the movie. You are the actor or you are the actress. You are the hero, maybe, or you're the calefare, or your calefare sitting beside, cameo, or whatever it is, whatever it is, you are inside the story already. So the moment you can able to pull the mind out, the moment you can pull the mind out, that is where your mindfulness is able to come in. A lot of times we know that while we are meditating, suddenly we realize that, hey, we are not supposed to be inside those thinking. We're supposed to be meditating. That means mindfulness starts to come in again. That is where the mindfulness starts to kick in. But at times, the story doesn't finish yet. It still can carry on as if like in the background, and your mindfulness is knowing it. That is where you can able to deal with it. That time you can able to begin to deal with the mindfulness. So other times, your mindfulness is strong. It prevents that restlessness from coming in. That time you don't have to deal with it because there's no restlessness. All you need to do is just carry on meditating onto your object of your meditation. So it all depends. So this time is that it is strong. The hindrance is strong. That particular hindrance is strong. Then you have that little mindfulness. You begin to become more alert. You are aware. You are out of the story. Then you begin to know. That is where This is what I mean here. The mindfulness is coming in. So now, the second one is that you recognize it. You have a right noting, and also you label it. You label it as restless. This one, some teachers also mentioned that when you label a hindrance, whether it's a sensual desire or ill will, or restless or sloth and torpor, and sometimes they ask you to use the word restless instead of thinking, instead of thinking. Then they ask you to use the word restless. Because sometimes when you use this word restless, it has a connotation, or is connected to a hindrance, something unwholesome. Something unwholesome. And then when the mind is connected to something unwholesome, the mind shrink away from that hindrance. Then it can also become a little bit more effective in the noting because of the words that you are using. In the beginning, perhaps it can be important for you. In the beginning, because if you know that this hindrance is something unwholesome, and then when you note it, you know that you are noting something unwholesome, and then the mind doesn't want to associate with it, then it's good. It's very good. Then your mind is able to come out from it much more faster. And you can settle the restlessness a bit better. Sometimes you're not thinking, planning. And the more we note it, as more we want to plan. Planning. Wow, the more enticing the whole plan is. And we want it to go inside that and to create more all the plans. If you are giving a speech you want to make, you're going to go inside that and make the speech even more finer. Or whatever that you are doing, you solve a problem, you want to make the problem in the mind, you can put as if like you can draw out a plan, a diagram and everything inside the mind. So strong. So imaginative, because of all this is all because of our previous doing, during work, during school, during whatever. So here, when we label it as restlessness, then sometimes it makes things much more clearer, and in the back of the mind we know that this is something unwholesome. Then the mind pull out from it easier. So the right noting and also the right labeling. Okay. But sometimes if you do not know what is it, this labeling, if once in a while you do not know what you are looking at, for example, sometimes you label the remorse, or should I label it as remorse, or should I label it as unpleasant mental state or anger? It doesn't matter actually. As long as you can able to catch hold of it, sometimes you can, as long as you can able to catch hold of it, then you take note of it. Sometimes you cannot remember that this is restlessness. You can note it as planning. Then it is good that you will put some labeling there. You put some labeling there rather than just empty. But better if that you label it as a hindrance, then sometimes it may be impactful to you. For some people, it may not be so impactful. To them, it's like they're not planning on it, it's already impactful to them. They're not thinking, it's already impactful to them. But for some people, the word label, thinking, planning, they still want to plan more. That is sometimes, it all depending on how you, how you are connected with all these words. Although they are concept, but they are still effective. They are still effective in a certain way. Now, acceptance. Here, the acceptance here is one of the most difficult, especially like connected with the regret. This acceptance here, you as I said earlier on, you see all the bad things that you have done, or somebody do you terribly, somebody do bad things to you, or you did something bad to them. And you have to kind of relieve the mind through while you are meditating. In the beginning part, all these things you really do not want to see. You do not want to see all this sadness. That means that you are not able to accept all these things in the beginning. And we understand that. Many yogis, every time they face with that, all their tears are start coming in. If they cannot finish crying, then they come into the interview room and start crying in front of the teacher also. Bante, I done this, I done that, Bante. I said, all we can do is listen to you and provide you a tissue only. Sometimes they come in without tissue. They use their sleeve to wipe their tears and all whatever. I said, next time put a tissue beside for this type of yogis. Anyway, as I said, this one is difficult and we can understand. Until you can able to contain it. Until you can able to contain it means that you can able to face with that regret that you have, with the things that you have done or you have not done. And your mind is more or less steady already. Your mind is more or less steady. That means once your mind is steady, that means the emotion is not so strong anymore. It's getting less. But in the beginning part, the emotion is 100%. Now, over time, the sad emotion, the remorse emotion is maybe like 80%. Then 20% you have a steadiness of the mind. Then after that, you practice, then it gets more like 50%, more steady, 70%. Then later you can have 100% steady. Anytime it comes in, there's no tears anymore. Anytime that comes in, it doesn't affect you anymore. Even if you get up from the sitting also, sometimes you don't even remember that type of thoughts come in. But in the beginning, it's not. In the beginning, it's very impactful to the yogi. So this acceptance, you're not supposed to push them away. You're not supposed to attach to them also. You're not supposed to attach to them. You're not supposed to push them away. You got to just like contain them, seeing them, accept them as they are. Then when you're able to do that, then only we can able to come to the overcoming part of it. Now, overcoming part of it is that you need to bring about that calmness or tranquility or equanimity. Just now when I talk about the mind becomes more able to accept, that means there's some degree of equanimity is there. Then by overcoming it, is that we build upon this equanimity even more stronger. Then later part, that type of regret or restlessness does not come and disturb you that much. Now here, this samadhi, passaddhi, upekkha. If you understand the 7 factors of enlightenment. When you understand the 7 factors of enlightenment, the factor number 5, 6, and 7. 5, 6, and 7. Tranquility is the 5th one. Concentration is the 6th one, and equanimity is the 7th one. These 3 parts here, we can use them to overcome the restlessness because they are, when it's connected with mindfulness, then they are all wholesome. Okay, when they're connected to mindfulness, then this samadhi also is wholesome. Now, all this type of concentration, ekaggata, concentration or calmness, here I put it as samadhi. Because samadhi sometimes it gives you a bigger, a wider scope. In Abhidhamma, they use the word ekaggata, one-pointedness. That is a narrow scope, but it's actually the state of concentration. It's an actual state of concentration. We're going to use that also when we come into the overcoming partner. Tranquility here. Tranquility means the mind is quiet. The mind is totally quiet. It's as the opposite of a restlessness. Restlessness is the mind is disquiet, very noisy, very this one. But tranquility here, the mind is quiet. But this one, I have to make myself very clear, because your quiet and what I mean as quiet, it can be totally like a heaven and earth difference. So you better understand what I'm coming from, not what you think it is, this word tranquility. The word tranquility here is that when your mind is quiet, but your mind is still actively noting on you. That means your mind is still alert, but it's quiet in the sense that there's no mental noise. There's no like a little bit of chi-chi-cha-cha here and there. Sometimes you meditate, there are times, sometimes the more advanced yogi, they meditate, they know that they're noting something. But back of the mind, it's just like a little bit of noise there, it just cannot quiet there, because there's lacking of tranquility. So when tranquility comes in, the mind can still able to note what is really going on. Like if you're noting your in-breath, out-breath, rising, falling, changing here and there, everything is going very clearly, noticing it very clearly. But you don't have that mental noise and distraction and all that thing. The mind is quiet. That is what I mean, tranquility. A lot of time people thought that this tranquility is that the mind goes into totally blank. Totally blank. That means you're not noting, you're not doing anything at all, you're not noticing that the object, whether samatha or vipassana, everything become blank. Calm and so peaceful, so nice. Oh, Bhante, I got such a beautiful tranquility. My pasadi is so beautiful, so nice. This is not pasadi. This is not pasadi. This is more like concentration, but wrong concentration. But it still gives you some kind of calmness, because because of the nature of concentration. But tranquility is different. Tranquility, the mind is still actively noting. It's just that it's totally on the silent run. Even this tranquility, this time when the mind becomes when it's become clear and prominent, your labeling, your mental labeling also don't come in. All your mental labeling all stop. But your noting is still going on. Your noting of your object is still very much going on. So this tranquility, you don't see it much in the beginning of the practice. Because in the beginning of the practice, your object can be painful, object not clear, you try to make an effort to note your object, so you don't see much of the tranquility. The tranquility more of at the background. At the background, it's doing its job. That time, all you do is that you're noting an object. You note this object, that object. You're noting. You know that sometimes when you're noting, your mind is not distracted here and there. That means there's some degree of concentration and tranquility there. But the tranquility and concentration, they're at the background. At the foreground, that you are noting the things. So that's why you don't see much of this tranquility happening. And it's only when you go into the deeper aspect of the meditation that the tranquility sometimes become the forefront, they become the prominent, and then you can see that, wow, the whole mind becomes quiet. And when it happens like that, you find that the mind can, when the mind can actually do that, you can see a whole different aspect of the mind. Instead of the mind keep on chattering, keep on wanting this, thinking and non-stop, and yet you find that on the opposite, you can see that the mind is still very wholesome, very clear, but it's totally quiet. It's a wonderful state of mind. Now, upekkha here, now upekkha here is a bit more different. Upekkha here, the mind is very steady. When it is wholesome or unwholesome, it does not react to it. But the mind is still alert. Not like a bowl or a cha tao, like a piece of wood, like if you don't do anything. It's not that, equanimity. Equanimity, that means the mind is not reactive towards it. Sometimes, for example, your mind can be a lot of thinking. You're thinking of all kinds of nonsense, thinking. You just sit there and watch it. Think whatever you want to think, but you sit there and watch it. You don't go and disturb it. You don't go and disturb the whole restlessness. Sometimes you can see the restlessness getting faster and getting slower. What is going on? You just stand there, noticing it. It's interesting. It's a different way of how you're going to pull out your mental factors. You can pull them out in order for you to overcome that particular hindrance, or this hindrance of restlessness. So it's all skills. This is skills that you can develop in vipassana. And you know that all this time when we talk about this hindrance, this is all a lot when it comes to this vipassana. It has to, you got to do it again and again until you know how to pull out certain specific way of doing things. And with that, it arouses a certain mental state. And with that mental state or mental states, it helps you to overcome certain defilement. So we're going to go through again vipassana, samatha, and other skillful ways. Same also, but this time is concentration, tranquility, equanimity. We're going to use around that theme, around this type of calming state of mind in order to overcome this one. And we're going to arouse them. It's just again the opposite when we deal with the sloth and torpor. That time you must know how to pull out the mental effort, how to pull out the vitakka, how to make the labeling faster, and so on. So this is the opposite. Now let's just talk about just maybe one or two. Okay, we look at Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana. Again, when you want to deal with directly, when you want to deal directly with the hindrance, then it falls under Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana. Indirect one, you can go into feelings, you can go into body, you can go into mind, you can go into other things. Indirect. But if you want to directly, that means you have to see the hindrances as they really are. Okay? Now, let's talk about Chittanupassana first. Now, in the Chittanupassana, when you want to deal with this restless mind, let's say, when a lot of mind is thinking right now, then here, as I said just now, is that one of the first thing is that when you're able to recognize that your mind is in the state of thinking, firstly is that you don't go into the story, or you don't relate yourself into the story. Meaning that sometimes in the story, that you may see yourself there. You are in the center of the story, and you are doing this and doing that. Or sometimes in the story, it can be somebody that is related to you, or something that is related to you. Oh, that is my mother. Oh, my late mother. Oh, this is my father. Oh, this is my children. You see these things, and it relates back to you. The moment if you are thinking that this is your relation, this is my planning, this is my things, this is he did this to me, or she did this to me, or I didn't do this. If you relate this way as a self, as an I, into it, that means you're already into the story already. That means you weren't able to come out from it. A lot of times when all the while when we are thinking, we are planning and so on, we don't realize that how much the I is inside there. Because the I is inside there, we cannot pull the mind out from it. So in the way of vipassana, the first thing we want to deal with these hindrances, we deal with especially the fourth hindrance, because you see yourself, you see people, you got to pull yourself out. Therefore, if you can able to pull yourself out, then this story, they remain a story only. They doesn't impact you anymore. They don't impact you. They don't. But they are still there. You can see yourself changing, doing this, doing that. The mind is like floating from one object to another, to another, to another. And while the mind is running from here and there, you see yourself, you see your parents, you see this one, you see this. But you sit there, but you know that this is just a thought only. And they are just thoughts only. When you're able to do that, that means here you are already disconnect the I. You already, at least for now, you disconnect the I. Then only you can start with the noting of the vipassana. If you cannot notice that, you're always into the story, you can never do that. This is difficult to sometimes explain to people. Even right now, I explain to you, the next day, tomorrow, you do it also, you still go into the story also. You will still fall into the story. But this is but since you know it, at least you know how to pull out from those thoughts. But if you are a meditator and you do not know what to do, every time you're going to go inside there and every time you'll fail the whole meditation. Every time goes into it to know what to do. Because the first thing to do is to make sure that your mind is able to step out from it. So that means you want to be able to step out from it. The whole mind can able to accept the whole thoughts already. Whatever that is happening, whatever thoughts that is happening inside that, the mind can able to accept. So the first thing is that you don't go into the story. Yeah? The next thing is, as a Chittanupassana, you begin to note them. You note them and also you begin to label them. Now this time, when you want to note them or label them at this juncture, you label them with a more slower pace. But your mind is still alert. Your mind is still alert, but in a slower noting or slower labeling. For example, you notice it as restless. Although while you are labeling it restless, the mind is still going on very wild, You're going very well. You're still seeing it, but your mind is still but you're still noting it, but you're noting it with more calmness right now, or tranquility, or ikpika right now, as you notice that object. So you're arousing some degree of samadhi, some degree of tranquility or upekkha into dealing with that thought. Then you let the thought flow. You watch the thought. See how the thought begin to change, in the sense that sometimes you can see one thought after another, sometimes after another. Sometimes it reoccur, the same thought reoccur, but it's a different thought, but it reoccur the same face all over again. Sometimes you may notice that the thought is just random, very random. It's just jumping here and there, but you are not fall into it. That means if you watch that means you begin to see into the Chittanupassana. You watch what is going on. Sometimes the thought may run a bit more faster. Sometimes it slow down for you. Sometimes after that, it may go slower, finish, and then it goes into less and less and less and less, and then it disappear. And then that is how you see a Chittanupassana. You see how it change, how it getting more, how it getting less, how it change from one thought to another, this way, another. Then you are not inside the story, but you are seeing the whole picture of how it arises and it passes away. This is how you notice the Chittanupassana. It's not easy. It's a lot of It's a lot of technique inside there, and you got to be patient. Initially, the thought can be very wild. It's like running here and there, and then after that, you can see that the thought is slowly coming softer, 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 and then finally it all disappear, and then the whole mind become alert and clear again. It's interesting, actually, you know. So don't disregard this one. All right. This is about on a bit of Chittanupassana. Another talk on Friday. Friday there's no Q&A, as I said. Friday there's no Q&A. We're going to continue with this hindrance on this hindrance of restlessness and regret. Okay, I think I'll stop here for tonight. Oh, it's already almost 10:15 already. All right. So tomorrow, okay. So tomorrow we have Reverend Sujiva coming in at, we'll start at 8:30. So you all can sign in maybe by 8 o'clock or 8:15, somewhere around there or near. If you cannot come in, then no worries. Then you can go to Facebook also. We're going to start at 8:30 sharp, 8:30 p.m. sharp, Malaysia time. Malaysia time. All right, now, okay. I think stop here. So, we share merits.